Welcome to Coffee Hour. Happy Tuesday. So today we have a very special presentation. We're actually going to fly all the way to South Korea. It's the first time that our presenter is actually from abroad. So what a bless of a group we are that someone is presenting from South Korea today. So, but before we start with our presentation and we welcome our guests, I would like to give the announcements of the week. So we do have study of our programs in South Korea. So after today's presentation, you fall in love with South Korea, keep in mind those students. I see some of the students are joining us as well. You could study abroad in South Korea for a semester, a summer, or a whole year. So I'm going to put those links in the chat box for you to check it out. The second announcement is that next week is International Education Week. So the whole week we're going to be celebrating international education and study abroad. So for those that are not familiar what's International Education Week, it's a national and annual event that happens in higher education to celebrate and highlight or accomplishments for international education. So I'm gonna also add the link in our box there for you to check out all the events that are gonna be happening next week. So I encourage you to review that website. We have different types of information sessions and also presentations. At the end on Friday, we're gonna finish with Culture Night. What a better way to end the international education than with Culture Night. And keep in mind that all the events are virtually. So I will add that to the box. I also wanna welcome all those that has been returning and supporting us this week and throughout the semester with Coffee Hour. I see that few of our members are still returning, and I welcome those that is your first time as well. So I'm gonna pass the mic to Manoj for you to present our speaker today.
Thank you, Marcella. Next, we have Hyojin, who's an exchange student from South Korea at Fresno State, and she's in South Korea right now. She's going to take us to South Korea today. Hyojin?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Hyojin from South Korea. First of all, I feel really thankful for having a chance to do a presentation about my country. And yeah, what was your first question when you met Korean people before? I prepared 3 or 4 questions. Maybe you have asked to Korean before. So the first question is, are you from North or South? I've heard this question when I was staying in the U.S. And at first I felt a little embarrassed because all the citizens from North Korea are managed to travel or visit the United States, obviously according to the administrative order. And let me tell you how one nation becomes 2 different nations. And it actually dates back to World War II. Korea was under the rule of Japan from 1910 to 1945, Korea for 35 years. And Japan also looted our all staples. Like you see in the picture, there's a tower made of rice bags. For example, when Korean farmers grow their rice, all of them were to be delivered to Japan. So it was not usual. It was not unusual that common people are suffering from hunger and starve to death. Also, look at this picture. You can see all kinds of stuff in front of people. Actually, Japan robbed all kinds of stuff from houses in Korea, village by village, and they especially had an eye on iron and steel products so that they can remake them military weapons. And of course, many young Korean students had to learn Japanese, and also, of course, we couldn't use our own language. So when people speak of our own language, they've been in danger to be dead or to be punished by Japanese police. Also, many young girls had to serve as comfort women for Japanese military. And this is the picture of Korean comfort women who survived and were protected in Lemon, which is the region of China. And actually, this is a picture taken by me, and it's a statue of comfort women, and it's simply called Statue of Peace. And this was built for commemorating for comfort women, like the victims of Japanese sex slaveries. Also, many young men were drafted to fight for Japan, and some of them were exploited by Japan, and they were they had to withstand the hard labor, and they suffer from malnutrition, like you see in the picture. Of course, during the Japanese colonization, we did independence movement. Like you see in the picture, people were doing the peaceful demonstration, like hurraying for Korean independence. Of course, a leader of Korea declared the Korean independence, and many people put effort to be independent at the time. But unfortunately, Japan was defeated in World War II and surrendered to the Allied forces. So the other countries like Soviet Union and the armed forces of United States started to meddle. So Korea divided into at the 30 parallel of two parts, like South and North. So Soviet Union started to administer the northern parts, which is North Korea, and the armed forces of US started to administer the southern part, which is South Korea. Actually, it was just a military borderline at first time, but during the Cold War tensions, it became a political line. And when the two ideology conflicts become dramatically escalated, Korean War happened, and it started in 1950, and the war the war ended in 1953 when the Korean Armistice Agreement was signed. So we didn't technically we didn't end the war yet. We're in a truce. So here are some interesting facts about North and South. South Korea government spent about $44 billion for military budget in 2020, and in upcoming 2021, this government will spend more than $44 billion for national defense. Also, South Korean male citizens between the ages of 18 and 28 are required to complete 2 years of mandatory military service. And North Korea banned the visitors only from South Korea and the United States. So except two countries, North Korea allowed the foreign tourists to visit their country. And so how different we are. We are totally different as to political systems, economic structures, and even language are different. As to North Korea is the socialist state under the leadership of totalitarian leadership of Kim Jong-un. And South Korea is the capitalist state under the democratic leadership of Moon Jae-in. So we're totally different states. And as to our language, we've been separated for like 76 years for now. So we share the same language like Hangul, Korean, but how we express like words, idioms are totally different. So for example, if I have a chance to talk with North Koreans, I have no doubt that I cannot understand what they're talking. To be specific, South Korea is a mixed economic system, including varieties of private freedom combined with centralized economic planning and government regulation. And South Korea has the world's fourth largest economy. And South Korea's capital is Seoul, and our population is about 51 million people. And among them, 9.6 to 9.7 million people are living in Seoul, which is the capital of Korea. And it means that Seoul is really highly dense city, and our size is pretty the same as Portugal or Hungary or the United States of Indiana. Of course, our language is Korean Hangul. And we're located in the northeastern Asia. And on the left side, there's a China. On the right side, there's a Japan. And upper side is Russia. So back in the days, we've been attacked by China. And of course, we've been through the Japanese colonization. And during the Japanese colonization, we've been interfered with Russia. So yeah, we should be cautious of our national defense from the past to now. So the next question is, how could your country grow so fast? I think we're the poorest countries because we're one of the poorest countries because we've been through the Korean War and we've been through Japanese colonizations. But as you see in this graph, which is Miracle on Han River, Korea's gross national income per capita increased rapidly from $67 in the early 1950s when we've been over $30,000 in 2018. I think it's because of these three big conglomerates like Samsung Electronics, Hyundai Motors, and LG Chemicals and LG Electronics. Hyundai Motors is a top exporter of automobile industry, and Samsung Electronics is the top seller of semiconductor parts and electronic devices like smartphones. And LG is a top seller of petrochemical stuff like also electronical devices. So I found this data from International Trade Center, and where this circle means the market share of Korean export item, and we're the top exporters of electronic accumulators, electronic integrated circuits, smart cards, and transistors, similar semiconductor devices, or something like that. So in conclusion, I think the drive force to achieve the fastest growth is definitely exports. So the next question is, are you really smart? I can definitely say yes, because individual education achievement has been regarded as a method to enhance personal social status as well as economic status. And most students go to extra private school after their regular school days, and some parents drop about 25% of their income on education, tutoring, education materials for their children. For me, for example, I started my extra private school when I was 7. It was a Lego class, and after 7, I started to take English class, math class, and even Korean classes. So also 93% of students in South Korea graduating from high school, and parents and students are highly motivated when it comes to school, especially entering the universities. On the left side, there's a picture. Maybe it would be taken at 11 or 10 or 11 in the nighttime. And mostly they are high school students. So after their school days end, they started to go extra private school. And yeah, they finished their studying almost 11 to 12. As a social factor, South Korea rapidly overcame lower economy, like you see in the last graph, and we overcame the underdeveloped economy through highly intense education. So for Korean society, intense education strengthens the labor force with higher skills and knowledge, and government also think that it would produce more competitive human resources. As a historical factor, Confucianism was a fundamental value of social organization, and it's been an important spiritual factors of education, economy, cultures, and even politics, like all kinds of fields. And it's believed that the wisest person who's well educated only could rule the whole country peacefully and wisely. So we put the importance of our education from past to now, and still that's the trigger we could be smart. And the next question is, why you love singing and dancing? I can say our country is the Republic of Karaoke, and I want to share Korean karaoke culture. In 1991, the very first karaoke in Korea was launched near the Busan National University. Busan is one of the big cities which is located on the southern part of Korean Peninsula. And karaoke is a must when hanging around with your friends, families, and coworkers. So, especially, for example, when you have social gatherings in Korea, they will definitely go to karaoke because it's a really good place to be closer in a short time. So many people enjoy singing in the karaoke's and hanging around with friends. And this is the picture of me singing at the karaoke. And recently, kokunin culture was popular in Korea, so eating, drinking, and even traveling alone become a trendy culture among the young. So these typical karaokes, like I showed in the last slide, evolved into coin karaokes, like you see in this picture. And these coin karaokes can enjoy singing alone or with just one or two friends, and they made a big hit across the country. And as you can see this picture, there are small rooms here in a row. And if you enter the room, you can just put the coins on the karaoke machines and sing songs and yeah, dance. So I want to share K-pop culture and Korean entertainment industry. And this is the Psy, and he garnered the popularities globally as well as nationally. After Psy's Gangnam Style brought K-pop's huge success, many K-pop bands started to release songs targeting worldwide fans. And BTS gained worldwide popularities on record in Korean music history as well as Korean music industry. The very latest song, Dynamite, earned $1.43 billion, and also it brought the increase of local tourism industry and consumer goods exports like cosmetics, food, and clothing. And this K-pop girl band, which is called Blackpink, gained the popularities globally too. So how could K-pop bands make their debut? All K-pop bands are released through the well-organized training system and grueling schedule, like you see in the picture. They will take the classes like school, and they will definitely take dancing classes and vocal classes. Also, South Korea popular music a hot gossip between teens and young people, as musicians are always on the top 10 list of dream jobs of teenagers. So the next question is, why are you crazy about spicy food? And there are so many spicy food in South Korea, and these are my favorites. And the first picture is a bibimbap, which is the rice with mixed vegetables and spicy chili paste, and it's really nutritious and healthy. And yeah, the second picture is spicy rice cake, and it's called tteokbokki in Korean. So there are so many tteokbokki brands in Korea, and this one is the hottest and the most spicy one. And then the last picture is noodles with chicken breast, like chicken things, and it's really delicious. And we do challenges with the spicy noodles. And we're the origin of eating show, which is mukbang in Korean. And she's my favorite mukbang YouTuber. She live streams every Monday to Thursday, and basically she eats Korean foods. And even this young kid uploads her mukbang ASMR videos on her YouTube. So for now, I want to share the tourist attractions in Korea. And first of all, I definitely recommend you to visit Seoul, which is the capital. And I want to show a short video of Seoul for now. So that was the famous Seoul tourist attractions, and I want to introduce Seoul Insadong, which is one of the greatest tourist attractions in Seoul, and it's really famous for Korean traditional culture and crafts. Stores in Insadong specialize in various kinds of goods that can be only be purchased in Korea. Hanbok, which is traditional clothing, Hanji, traditional paper, traditional teas, potteries, and folk crafts. And in Insadong, there's a Samjikil, which is Samji Street, and definitely I visited there, and it was really good. And in Insadong, there's a big building looking like this, and they're all selling the traditional stuff. And in this place, this was my inspiration, and this is called lacquerware inlaid with mother of pearl. And this pattern was really popular in the past as for closets patterns and drawer patterns. Also, you can look around the traditional miniature, which is traditional room miniatures and traditional food miniatures, like looking like this. And also, you can look around the modern stuff like this. This brand, which is called Ugly Doll, is only based on Seoul, Korea. So you can look around the traditional stuff as well as the modern stuff. And the next place I want to recommend you is Gyeongbokgung Palace. Gyeongbokgung Palace was the first and largest royal palaces built during the Joseon Dynasty. This place represents the sovereignty of Joseon Dynasty, but also the main palace of Joseon Dynasty. But sadly, during the Japanese colonization, this palace was destroyed. But after that, we put effort to rebuild, restore, and maintain the palace for future generations like us. And inside the Gyeongbokgung Palace, there's a place called Geunjeongjeon. Geunjeongjeon is the main building of Gyeongbokgung Palace. This place is where the king met the public officials and they discussed the important affairs about this country. And even the king formulates the laws and policies here. And the king met the foreign envoy here. So this place is really important for our ancestors. But also, recently, BTS shoot the video of Dynamite here in front of Geunjeongjeon. So this place is really meaningful for modern people also. Inside the palace, you can see the buildings looking like this. And the next place I want to recommend you to visit is Jeju. Jeju Island is the largest island in South Korea, which is located in the Jeju province. And this land is the lowest part of our Korean peninsula. And it's a popular holiday destination. And this Jeju's economy relies heavily on tourism. And Jeju is a volcanic island, which is dominated by Galasan, which is the highest mountain in South Korea. I've been there actually for 3 times, and I recommend the 3 places. The first one is Seongsan Ilchulbong Peak. Seongsan means the Korean unique name, and Ilchul means sunrise, and Bong Peak is the just peak. So it's Seongsan Sunrise Peak. It boasts a magnificent view of sunrise. And anyway, Seongsan Ilchulbong Peak rose 180 meters above sea level due to a magma flow under the sea over 5,000 years ago. A large crater, like you see in the picture, is formed by the hot lava mixing with cold ocean water, and is located at the top of Seongsan Ilchulbong Peak, as you can see. And it was designated as UNESCO World Natural Heritage. And you can see the clear stratum here because the hot lava mixed with cold ocean water, so the land became so sticky. So it became the good environment to be a stratum of sedimentation, like you see the clear lines. Also, Seongsan Ilchulbong Peak was here, and Jeju Island is here, and they were separate islands back in the days, but as time goes by, the sand, rock, mud built up here and there, so it became just one land, like looking like this. Also, its trekking course just takes 20 to 30 minutes, so it's really easy to climb up. So on the top, you can see the whole Jeju, and you can even see the island nearby, which is called Udo. Also, I would recommend Seopjikoji. Seopjikoji gets its name from its shape, jutting out to sea, looking like this. And Koji means the cave for Jeju dialect, and it's located just south of Seongsan Ilchubong Peak, so it's really near. The cave is really popular tourist attractions. And the third place I would recommend is Sangumburi Crater. Sangumburi Crater has been designated as a natural monument, and it's located on the southeast side of Jeju, and it's a flat crater. So if you look at the crater from above up, it looks like a circular stadium, and you can see the unique rocks, like you can see the monuments also. Also, it's a good place to take pictures like this. So among three tourist attractions, these two are really really famous for locals as well as foreign tourists, like Seongsan Ilchulmung Peak and Seopjikoji. But as to this place, I highly recommend this place because you can feel the private and peaceful vibe. So I would whenever I go to Jeju, I definitely visit this place because it's really good. So the next part is culture. I'll describe the culture into housing, clothing, and food. So the next one is traditional housing and modern housing. Korean traditional house is called Hano, which is first designed and built in the 14th century during the Joseon dynasty. And our ancestor put the importance on positioning of the house in relation to natural environments like land and seasons. And obviously the Hano, which is Korean traditional house, is built in woods and the mud like sand. So it's really eco-friendly. Also, we have a house, different types, different shapes of house, region by region. In the southern part, our traditional house is looking like a straight line, and there have a lot of windows and doors so that they can breathe in the fresh air and become cooler. Also in the middle parts, the house shape like V shape like you see, and this style is really common in Korea. And in the northern part, the house shape like square so that they can prevent the harsh weather like heavy snow and heavy wind. And you can still look around the Korean traditional house in Bukchon Hanok village, which is located in Seoul, and also Jeonju Hanok village. And actually, Jeonju takes 2.5 hours from Seoul, so I think it's really pretty easy to visit. So yeah, you can still how it looks like how Korean traditional house looks like. But modern house in Korea is totally different. The most common type of housing is an apartment complex. Actually, this is the place where I live. Of course, apartment complex. South Korea has become increasingly urban and less rural. So it was proven by the 2019 National Population Census. 92% of people are living in the city. And this is the picture that I took in on the nearest mountain. You can see the apartment complex here and there. Of course, in Seoul, there are so many highly dense apartment complex like you see. So yes, the next one is traditional clothing and modern clothing. Korean traditional clothing is hanbok. Hanbok is a traditional Korean dress both for semi-formal and formal attire during the traditional occasions like festivals, national holidays like Chuseok, which is the Korean Thanksgiving Day, and New Year's Day celebrations and ceremonies. So although the term literally means Korean clothing, but today hanbok just means the attire only wore in during the Joseon Dynasty. And this is the picture that a painter painted during the Joseon Dynasty, and they're looking like this, pretty similar to modern. And you can still rent the hanbok through the social media, social networking services like Instagram, and you can take the photos of wearing hanbok in most traditional place like Kunjeongjeon, like I showed you. But Korean modern fashion is a little bit different. Many young people pursue athleisure style. They want really comfy clothes, but still stylish. So they're looking like this. And we pursue a sporty vibe and a little bit of hit. And this is popular Korean brand called 87 millimeters. And obviously you can see the comfy clothes, but like hip style clothes. Also, Korean brand Mahagrade sells comfy clothes like hoodies and sweatshirts, and they're really popular. And romantic ruffles made a big hit in Korea because Korean K-pop girl band Blackpink wears a silky and floral patterns of blouses. So many girls really liked it to wear romantic ruffles still now. And some people pursue all-in logo style. Look at all-in logos is like they are wearing their outfits using only one brand like Louis Vuitton, Gucci, and Chanel. And the next one is mostly Korean food. The number one food is Korean barbecue, and it's really famous for locals, obviously, and also it gained popularities for foreign tourists. And the next one is Korean fried chicken. There are so many Korean fried chicken brands in Korea. And this one is my favorite, which is chicken with cheesy powders. And this is Korean spicy chicken, but it's not that spicy, it's rather sweet. And the next one's bulgogi, which is Korean BBQ beef. And its recipe is really, really simple. You just need sliced beef and all kinds of vegetables like white onions, mushrooms, green onions, carrots, and Korean barbecue sauce. And I made by myself while I'm staying in the US as an exchange student. It's really simple. You just go to Korean market and buy the Korean barbecue sauce and chop the vegetables and mix with beef, and yeah, cook in heat 20 or 15 to 20 minutes. And it goes well with sandwiches and bread. And I want to recommend a Korean cooking YouTuber, which is called Mangchi. She shares recipes, especially Korean dishes recipes, and she explaining the recipe in English, so it could be useful. So I will show you a short video of her. So she's sharing cooking tips and the recipes here. And the famous Korean food is shaved ice with red beans. This is traditional, and there's a famous brand which is called Solving. They're selling various kinds of shaved ice, like strawberry shaved ice and matcha shaved ice, and even latte shaved ice. And you can enjoy your food at home, like using delivery service. The most famous Korean delivery app is Baemin, and you can just select your location, like your home address, and you can order food, various kinds of food here. And yes, it's like a Uber Eats app service. So this is for my presentation today. So thank you for listening. So if you have any questions, just ask me. I'll do my answer as best as I can. So thank you.
Thank you. Now we're gonna open the mic. So if you could, if you have a question or a comment for Cynthia, you could unmute yourself and ask the question directly. Okay, while others think about their questions, I have a question that it may help. I noticed that there's a few students here that are interested in study abroad in South Korea. So what would be your recommendation for students that are planning to come to Seoul to study abroad?
You mean the tourist attractions?
In general, something that you feel that they need to prepare or that they know before coming to South Korea?
Like the manners or just
Yeah.
about studying?
Yeah.
There's a lot. I mean, for example, people in Korea, in Korea, I think manners are different. I mean, I don't know how to describe how manners are, public manners are different, but people are usually quiet in public spaces like library. We don't speak at all. Everyone is on mute. So yeah, that's the biggest difference between Korean libraries and the libraries in the US. Of course, we are not allowed to eat food and chat with friends in the library, like public spaces, especially. So that's the thing you should know about Korean school life.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? If you don't feel comfortable, open your mic, you could also write it in the box. And I could read it for you.
What about some manners? I get some, I understand a few because I'm Asian too. I'm from India. So what about some manners, cultural practices, etiquette that I should follow if I come to South Korea?
Can you say the question simpler?
Etiquettes, some etiquettes to follow, respecting elders, leaving the shoes at the door, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course. I should have said that. I mean, we're not using. I mean, we're not using sleepers inside. We are rather on barefoot inside the house, especially. And yes, that's one of the cultural difference.
How about addressing people like older than you or in higher positions? The etiquette, like the mannerism.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think it's a good question. We have different words, like different words to say to people who are older than me, and we have some words that we can appreciate them, like the expressions and the when we speak. For example, in friend when we talk with friends, we just say 고마워, which is thank. thank you for Korean, but when you say thank you for older people, it sounds different, like 감사합니다. This is the same meaning but different words. So yeah, that's the thing, because we really put importance on the respect of older people. So that's why we have different expressions to say the same thing.
You said you were an exchange student here?
Yes.
Here meaning at Fresno State?
Yes. Fresno State.
When were you here and how long were you here?
I've been there last semester, and because of coronavirus, I should have stayed there for a year, but yeah, I just finished my last semester, spring semester there, and yeah, come back to home.
And what did you study, or what is your major field of study?
My major is business administration, and I studied international business.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I have a question. Since you were an exchange student here, did you live in the dorms or you live in the apartment complex? And if you don't mind sharing, was there like the cost of living, was it any much different from living in the United States or living in South Korea?
I live in both, actually. I live in dorm during the semester, and I stayed here for summer vacation also. So I've lived in nearest apartment near the campus. And coastal living, actually, for international students, like the dorm fee are pretty expensive for compared to Korean university, I guess, because I'm a international student here. And as to apartment complex, we have a little bit different, because in America, they pay the rent, the monthly fee for housing. Also, we do pay monthly fee for apartment complex, but usually people buy a house as a real estate, so it's much higher to buy of course, much higher when we're deciding to buy apartment complex. And as to monthly rent, I think it's pretty expensive in both countries.
All right.
What do you miss the most about the American experience?
I think America is the most liberal country in the world. So many people really express themselves a lot. But so anyways, I miss the liberation, like the expressing myself freely. Well, actually, it's not a thing, but that mindset really, I miss that mindset. Also, yeah, that's the one that I really miss.
All right, if we don't have any more questions, we're gonna jump to our traditional picture with our speaker. So if you could open your camera if you wanna be part of the group picture for us to take the picture. I'm gonna take 2 pictures, so don't move and keep your smile. So I'm gonna allow people to open their—
Screen share first.
Yeah, can you stop the— yes. Let's see. Can you stop sharing your screen, Cynthia, please?
Okay.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. It's great listening to you.
Perfect. All right. So ready, set, cheese. And like I said, I'm gonna take twice.
Hold
So
on.
don't,
We need to.
everybody's in? Oh, I see a big cat. Okay, one more. Perfect. So thank you, Cynthia. I know that over there is early morning, so thank you for making time to speak with us. I'm sure that all of us learn new things about South Korea and South Korea, and we realize a lot of things. So we really appreciate your presentation. And so just a reminder, thank you for those that have been coming every Tuesday. Come next week, we're gonna be celebrating international education. But also, as you know, you adding up your points every time that you come. We have gifts for the end of the semester. So I hope to see more students and community members joining us every Tuesday. So if you have any questions about how to study abroad in South Korea, stay behind and we could answer those questions for you. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Great presentation.
Thank you for having me.
Bye bye.